Hey guys, what's up? I'm Christian, that's Corey, and this is our review of Naruto manga chapter 640. We start off right where we left off last week with Naruto and Sasuke about to be, covered in Obito's balls. And then, luckily, Naruto thinks ahead of time and grabs his dad, and they all, warp away. And we also see his dad start to, congratulate Naruto. I think it was mostly internal dialogue, but we, last chapter, we saw him pretty much praising Sasuke, saying how good he was, and he's obviously a good strategist when it comes to battle. So it's good to see his dad isn't, favoring Sasuke over him. I always thought it was funny because Itachi was always like Naruto's brother that Sasuke always wanted. And then wouldn't it be funny if Naruto's dad was like the father figure Sasuke never had to?
So at this point in the chapter, Obito is slowly losing control of the Ten Tails, and you get to see that a part of his body, the part that's actually been destroyed, is starting to slowly puff up and explode outward. And you can see he's freak out, and he's all like, "Kaneda, help me!" So when Obito's freaking out, it's real creepy looking. You can see his arm got all puffy and nasty and shit, and it's got these giant chakra balls that it's shooting all over the place, exploding the battlefield. And I'm not sure what to take from this one scene. It's kind of confusing to me. Maybe you guys could explain it to me in your comments below. But essentially what happened is he fires at them, and somehow the attack actually hits Obito. And I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's just trying to show that he is just sort of slowly losing control of this beast. And then that's when we finally get some of this really good symbolism. And I can't believe I like this symbolism because I usually hate this type of stuff. But they show this scene where you have Obito in this giant black space, and we have all of these weird things that are grabbing his body. And they start to just rip him to pieces, ripping his arms off, his torso, his head, and everything. And as Minato is charging him, you get to see he's starting to freak out. And there's this great panel where you can see that his head is literally split open.
You can see his tongue.
It's really freaky. It's totally something out of The Thing. And I really, really like this. It's really creepy. And there's also a little bit more symbolism thrown in here. There's that picture of him with his old team, and we can see that it's slowly starting to break apart. And
as he gets pulled apart.
Exactly. It's sort of going with what's going on in the scene. And as we go to Rin's picture, we get to see that there's a little slash mark that's going right through it. And that's when Obito's Sharingan eye finally just explodes open, and he starts to take control. And then all of the pieces of his body starts to come back together. And that's when he finally forms himself into his brand new ultimate form, which has this one giant panel, which is obviously the highlight of this week's chapter. It's his brand new form. It looks a lot like the Sage of the Six Paths. He has the horns. He even has that giant staff, which he makes out of the chakra that's coming out of his hands. Just, oh man, he has finally been elevated to the coolest villain in the series.
Yeah, when we first met Obito, or now that we've learned everything about Obito, he's really a tragic character. You just see this little kid that really wanted to do well, and then he just had his morals and his perspective on the whole thing just shifted really hard when he met Madara, and now he's kind of left Madara. And the whole symbolism thing you were talking about earlier, the only thing I didn't like is it's still so based around Rin. And technically, he knew Rin was the Jinchuriki, and that's why she got... He knows all that, but he still is, so Rin-focused. I think that's just, I guess, built into this character at this point.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, because it's okay, we get it. You loved Rin and everything. Yeah. But at the same time, I think it sort of reinforces why Obito is sort of so insane. He's so obsessed with his character that the thought of Rin, just the thought of losing her memory is what caused him to take control of the Ten Tails. And you gotta admit, that's a pretty intense emotion, and you can just clearly see how much he truly cared about this girl who, frankly, he didn't know that long, and that again just reinforces why he's so fucking insane. And that just makes him such an incredible villain. And we get to see more of his power displayed at the end of the chapter. Minato starts charging at him with his Shoja Rasengan Shucho Rapapapa. But Obito just slaps that shit away. He's like, "Fuck you, dog," and then he blows his arm off. And this is the end of the chapter. You get to see that Minato retreats to both Naruto and Sasuke. And it looks like that he escaped the attack. That is until Obito's like, take a look. And you can see there's that giant ball of chakra that's about to explode all around them. That's the end of the chapter. Really, really exciting.
Okay, so what did we think of this chapter? First of all, awesome action all the time, just nonstop. Especially that panel, even though me and Corey were kind of confused about what happened about that beast ball that kind of exploded and took out half of Obito when he was losing control. That's a beautifully drawn panel. Looks really good, all that stuff. And, you know, you got to see Obito finally take control of the Ten Tails. Even though I am kind of disappointed about one other thing, that we don't actually see the Ten Tails. Like, there's not a visual image that describes, you know how like Naruto's sitting there, and then there's the cage, and then there's the Nine Tails, and you see it, and there's like this visual fight between them and stuff. But like with this, there isn't any of that. So I do wish that they kind of like show the Ten Tails, but of course it's kind of like the Ten Tails' true form, so they can't like show you that yet. And it ended on a, you know, awesome cliffhanger. Of course it did. It's a weekly manga. They have to make you want to read next week. But I was pleased with this chapter, and I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
I definitely agree. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Nearly perfect chapter. I like when you brought up the fact that they don't really show the interactions between Obito and the Jubi that much. And that's a really interesting concept. And I'd actually like to see that interaction. I'd like to see Obito walking towards like a big ominous gate, and all of a sudden this giant Ten Tails just comes up, boom, opens the gate, and he's like, "Fuck you, man," you know. But maybe that's also just trying to elevate the fact that the Ten Tails is on just like this whole other level, that it's just this different type of demon altogether. What I can say a lot of positives about this week's chapter is the artwork. Really, really great stuff here. I like that you mentioned just the attack that he used. I like the way that was drawn. I like seeing the aftermath of the technique. But it was the symbolism stuff that I really loved when they were showing Obito's body getting torn and shred to pieces. And then when they showed his head splitting open, I know everybody's going to be like, you know, Obito's new form, that panel, that's like the coolest one this week. But for some odd reason, I just picture Obito's head just exploding open for some reason. That's what left the most impression for me this week. But obviously, his new form is awesome. I think it's the coolest looking villain that we've seen in the series. And I think it suits him perfectly, and I like it because Obito's character has been built up for a very, very long time, and it kind of makes sense at this point that he could be the final villain of the series. More importantly, I can't wait to see how he's going to interact with Madara. Yeah,
that's actually something I was just about to say. I really want to see Obito put a smackdown on Madara, even though it seems like his main focus right now is Naruto, Sasuke, and the Fourth, because, you know, the Fourth is his sensei, and, you know, he probably wants to just squash them really quick because he doesn't like them, and he's been battling Naruto for a long time now. I mean, him and Naruto are pretty much rivals on some level now. And so, but it would be awesome to see him go spank Madara for, you know, a chapter. It wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't complain about that at all.
How do you think they're going to get out of that big technique at the end? Do you think someone's going to have to come and save them?
I think that the Fourth is going to pull something out of his ass and just warp away with it or something. You know, that's what he does. He disappears really quick and takes explosions away. And even if they did get hit by it, it's not like Naruto's going to lose an arm. He's not going to.
I don't know.
Like, ah! You know,
that
like
would
that
be pretty
shit.
Ballsy for Naruto to lose an appendage.
Yeah, none of that shit's.
But think about it. Think of the awesome aspect of that. What if he lost an arm? Couldn't he theoretically make a brand new arm out of a Kyuubi chakra?
He could, but
that would be awesome.
That would be, yeah, and like blood's running down it and shit. It'd be all metal. It'd be pretty cool. You know, it would be cool, but I don't think they're going to do anything that intense. Again, I really enjoyed this chapter, and next week, really excited. And thank God we're not on some 6-week break like Bleach. Oh my God, Bleach fans.
It's disappointing.
I'm so sorry about that.
But it's going to be awesome when it comes back. But that's for another day.
That is for another day. Anyway, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure and give us a thumbs up. And until next time, Super Comic Guru 9000 out.